Hey guys, this is Kendra back with you on another Saturday to give you some help, some information, some training to help you be the very best notary public and signing agent that you can be. You guys know that I love in your notary journey, your signing agent journey, your journey as a self-employed person. I look back on it and I have been self-employed since 2007. So, geez, how many years has that been? Like, I don't know, a whole bunch of years, a long time. And for me, it's kind of just second nature. But I know for a lot of people who are coming into starting their own businesses and being self-employed, that it can definitely be very nerve-wracking. So I love to come on here, share information with you guys, give training to you guys, and help you realize that being a notary public, being a signing agent can be a successful full-time business that you can use in your life. And today's subject is one of my favorites because today's subject, well, you guys know I focus on signing agent stuff. I'm a signing agent. I love being a signing agent. I love teaching people how to be a signing agent. But to be a signing agent, you first have to be a notary public. And what I'm going to teach you guys today is going to help you do flawless notarizations as a notary public from the very beginning. So that means whether you are a signing agent, whether you're doing general notary work, whether you are doing some sort of specialty notary work, whether you are helping to facilitate apostilles, this is information that is going to help you be successful. So if you're watching this today, whether it's live or on the replay, and you know somebody else who is a notary public or wants to become a notary public, make sure that you share this video with them because this is going to give them and you the information that you need to complete notarizations properly. So again, the title of today's video is This is a Beginner's Guide to Flawless Notarizations. Even if you know nothing about completing a notarization, even if you've never completed a notarization before, this video is going to tell you the things that you need to do, the things that you need to look out for, and the steps that you need to take to make sure that every notarization that you do, you complete it flawlessly. But of course, guys, before we get started, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are watching this, please go ahead, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button. That helps me to know that you enjoy this type of content. And then if you really like me, watch this video on YouTube and make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. When you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you will not miss any of the live streams that I do. Because don't get me wrong, watching this on the replay is great, but watching it live is even better because at the end of every live stream, you guys know I have a question and answer session where I can answer your questions live on the air. And guys, I always love to know where you guys are watching from. It still blows my mind that people all over the country tune in here on YouTube to watch these live streams and the replays. So whether you're watching live or on the replay, I want you to tell me some different things. Now, the first thing I want y'all to tell me, because this is the whole point of this live stream today, I want you to tell me what is the core function of a notary public. Whether you are already a notary, whether you are thinking about becoming a notary, whether you have your commission but you haven't completed any notarizations yet, let me know. What do you believe the core function of a notary public is? Why are there notaries? Why are we a notary? What is our point? All right. Then, guys, I also want you to let me know whether you are an aspiring signing agent. So that means you have not completed any loan signings yet. You're still checking this out. You're still looking at it. You are an aspiring signing agent. Or let me know if you are a new signing agent. You have been a signing agent for a year or less. And then let me know if you are a veteran signing agent. You've been doing this thing for more than a year. And then also let me know what city and state you are watching from. I see some of you guys already telling me, but y'all know the deal. Y'all have done this before with me. So let me know whether you are an aspiring signing agent, a new signing agent, or a veteran signing agent, what city and state you are in, and then let me know what is the core function of a notary public. And then, guys, for those of you who happen to be watching on the live stream, do me a favor. If somebody ends up jumping into this video later and they're freaking out because they've missed half of the information and they ask, will there be a replay? Do me a favor, let them know. Yes, the replay will be available. Literally, as soon as the live stream is over, you can go back to the beginning and watch the replay. So let's see who we've got in the house today. We've got Travis watching from Richmond, Virginia. Thanks for watching, Travis. We've got Rudine Thomas watching from Frederick, Maryland. We've got Dear Abby in Colorado. We've got somebody here watching from North Carolina. We've got Iris watching from Jacksonville, Florida. You guys know that's where I'm originally from. We've got Hostella. She is a new signing agent, so she's been doing this for a year or less. Abby has been a notary since 2014 and a loan signing agent for 5 years, but she loves sharpening her skills and perfecting her craft. Absolutely, guys. That is one of the hallmarks of being an excellent notary public and an excellent signing agent. You always want to make sure that you are on top of the information. Keep your skills sharp. Guys, keep on telling me where you are from and keep on telling me whether you are an aspiring signing agent, a new signing agent, or a veteran signing agent. And then, guys, I want you to tell me, what do you think the core function of a notary public is? All right, we're going to move on to the next screen because I got lots of information. I want to make sure I get all of this info out to you guys today. I do want to remind you that there will be a question and answer session at the end of my presentation. So if possible, try to hold your questions until the end. I will go back and scroll up and see if I've missed any questions, but it's easier for me to see them if I can see them all at the end. You guys know I try to stay on the subject of the video. So if you can, try to keep your questions about the subject of the video. But if you've got another question, feel free to ask it as well. And then I might not be able to answer all of the questions during the live stream, or if you are watching this on the replay, you may be like, dang, man, I didn't get a chance to get my question answered. I always go back and see if I missed any live stream questions, and I always go back and check for replay questions. So even if it's after the live stream is over, or even if I don't answer your question during the live stream, I always try to go back and answer all of those questions. And then you guys know I always have freebies for you in the description box of the YouTube video. And then I always have questions. People always go, where is the description box? I can't find the description box. So I know some of you guys are tired of me telling you guys this every month, but I always have people ask. So I always want to make sure I explain what the description box is. So first, you have to make sure that you are watching this video on YouTube. The description box is only on the YouTube video. So if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on LinkedIn, you're not going to see the description box. You'll have to come over to the YouTube video. Then if you look underneath the video and underneath the title of the video, if you are on your laptop or desktop computer, you're going to actually see a little bit of the description box, and you're going to see the word more. You'll need to click on the word more to open up the description box. Now, if you are watching this on your cell phone or another mobile device, again, you're going to look underneath the video, underneath the title of the video. Again, you're going to see the word more. Click it. It's going to open up the description box a little bit, and then you'll see the word more again. Guess what? You're going to click on the word more again. Then, whether you are watching on your computer or your mobile device, you will see the entire description box. Scroll through the information in the description box, and you will see the links to the freebies that I have for you. Now, What is my first freebie? It is my favorite. It is my OG freebie. It is the big freebie that everybody always asks for. It is my free new signing agent checklist. If you are an aspiring signing agent, or even if you are a new signing agent, make sure that you download this checklist. People always want to know, hey, can you just tell me step by step, what do I need to do to become a signing agent? Well, that's what I did. I tell you step by step in this checklist exactly what you need to do. And I even have links to different things that will be helpful as you get started as a signing agent. The other thing that I have for you is my free AI guide for notaries. Guys, AI, things like ChatGPT, are an awesome tool that you can use in your notary and your signing agent business. But it takes a little bit of time to kind of figure out how to use things like ChatGPT properly. So I've got a guide for you specifically for notaries, telling you ways that you can effectively use ChatGPT and AI in your notary and signing agent business. Woo! All right, let's scroll down real quick. We're going to see if there were any other folks that came in. Absolutely. We got folks from Florida. We got folks from Colorado, Houston. We've got aspiring signing agents. We've got new signing agents. Oh my gosh, guys. Look, even if I'm not able to point you out specifically, make sure that you keep telling me where you are from. But we're going to get started to the meat of this video, guys. So, as a notary public, every state has laws, literal laws, that you must follow in order to notarize documents properly. You don't just get a stamp and just notarize documents all willy-nilly. There are literal laws that you have to follow as a notary public. And here's the deal. Notary law is going to be different in every state. So guys, in this video, I'm not going to cover state-specific notary law because, again, there's 50 some odd states. I don't have enough time to go over the specific notary law for each state. I also want to let you know that the information in this video does not supersede your state notary law. So if I say something that is not true for your state's notary law, don't do it. Okay? It is your responsibility as a notary public, as a commissioned notary public in your state. It is your responsibility to learn and follow your state notary law. Now, some states make it a little bit easier. Some states make you take a test. Some states, they have a whole bunch of things that you have to do. They make you take a class. They make you do so many hours to become a notary. Some states like Texas don't do that at all, though. So whether your state has a class that's required, whether your state has a test that's required, or whether your state does not have any of that stuff that is required, it is still your responsibility as a commissioned notary public to learn your state notary law. Because here's the deal, guys. Since it is a law, since it is legal stuff, if you notarize documents improperly, you can get in trouble. You can get in trouble civilly. That means that somebody can sue you for money. They can sue you. And if you don't have the money, they can put a judgment against you. It can cost tons of money in legal fees just to protect yourself, even if you are innocent. So we want to make sure that we're not breaking any of those laws for civil reasons. And then you can also be prosecuted criminally. That means that if you don't follow your state notary law, you could go to jail. Okay. And I tell people this all the time. There is nobody's document that is important enough for me to get sued or for me to go to jail. So please, 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 guys, take learning your state notary law seriously because it is very serious. Now, another thing I always want to point out to people is that there are no shortcuts to learning your state notary law. I see a lot of people in Facebook groups asking what they can and cannot do in their state. Guys, Facebook groups are not a substitute for learning your state notary law for yourself. I see so much bad information and wrong information being given out in Facebook groups. It makes me want to cry. I see so many, it's honestly, guys, it's like the blind leading the blind. Some people think that because they've done something and because they didn't get in trouble for it, that it's okay. That doesn't make it okay. Okay. If they are breaking their state notary law, whether they know it or not, just because they haven't gotten caught doesn't mean that it is okay to do it. And you don't want to do those things because, again, you personally can be held civilly or criminally liable. So, again, guys, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. Follow your state notary law. Just because they say it, just because they do it, does not make it right. And I'm going to tell you guys the truth, at least here in Texas, because again, in Texas, we don't have a class that you have to take and we don't have a test that you have to take. You literally just pay your money. If you're not a felon, you will become a notary. So a lot of people get a notary commission here in Texas without actually knowing the state notary law. And I found that even escrow officers, at least here in Texas, don't know and follow state notary law. I have had escrow officers ask me to notarize things in a way that goes against the state notary law. So even if an escrow officer tells you to do something, you need to know the law for yourself so you can know whether or not it is actually okay for you to do it. Guys, signing services, mortgage companies, they cannot tell you what is okay according to your state notary law. It doesn't matter if they say it is okay. If it is against the law, it is against the law. And if it's against the law, you need to refuse the notarization. Because I tell people all the time, if I get called into court, I can't tell the judge, well, the signing service said it was okay. The title company said it was okay. He's not going to go for that. Okay. He or she is not going to go for it. I'm still going to be in trouble for breaking the law. So make sure that you know your state notary law for yourself. And then I always have people ask me, okay, well then if I need to know my state notary law for myself, where can I find my state notary law? And the place that you are going to find it is on the government website for notaries for your state. That is typically going to be either your Secretary of State or Department of State website. So here in the state of Texas, which is where I'm at, on the Texas Secretary of State website, there is an entire section for notaries. And our notary law, the actual very boring written out law, is on that website. Another resource that you can use is a notary primer. The National Notary Association usually has a primer that you can purchase. And in that primer, basically somebody has kind of compiled the law and given their interpretation of what the law is saying. Now, your state's Secretary of State or Department of State website is going to be the better reference. However, the notary primer can be helpful. Now, one thing I always remind people though, if you are using a notary primer, it's going to tell you where in your state notary law it got the information that it is telling you. So I will read it in my notary primer, but then I still go back and look at that section of my state's notary law. Because again, even if a notary primer says it is okay to do something, it doesn't matter. If it's against the law, it is against the law. The other thing is your state notary law gets updated periodically. If you have a notary primer from a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, what's in your notary primer may not be true anymore. The law may have been updated. So a notary primer is a good resource, but the best place to find your state notary law is in the Secretary of State or Department of State website. There will be a section for notaries. So your homework for today, if you have not already done this, make sure that you find that website and bookmark it so that you can get to it quickly should you ever need it. All right, so I asked you guys, what is the core function of a notary public? And I'm going to scroll back up and see what you guys said. So let's see. Dear Abby says that a notary functions as a witness to the signing of legal documents. That is part of it. Absolutely. Let's see what else we've got here. Lily's daughter says it is to serve as an impartial witness to deter fraud by verifying identity. Very good. Adriana says to prevent fraud. Absolutely. Let's see. Norma says verify identification to prevent fraud. You guys, y'all must have watched my videos before. Okay, you guys are doing good. Jacqueline says, our role is to avoid fraud. Look, you guys are on it. You guys answered this question perfectly because the core function of a notary public is to prevent fraud. Okay. People don't even think about why a document has to be notarized sometimes. I don't even think some notaries think about why a document has to be notarized. They just think it has to be stamped and signed, but they don't really think about why somebody else has to come in and sign and stamp this document. What does that do? What does that mean? When we are getting a document notarized, when you are notarizing a document as a notary public, the goal is to prevent fraud. And we prevent fraud in three main ways. The first way is by requiring personal appearance. So when you notarize a document, you are saying that the person whose signature is on that document personally appeared before you. They were right in front of your face when you notarize that document. That's the first way that you prevent fraud. The second way that you prevent fraud is by verifying that person's identity. How do you verify their identity? Well, every state has different requirements on how to verify a person's identity. What I can use here in the state of Texas to verify someone's identity may be different than something that you can use in your state to verify their identity. You don't get to decide by yourself as a notary what you can use to verify somebody's identity. Your state's lawmakers have already set out and said, you can use this, you can use this, you can use this, you can use this. It has to fit into these guidelines. So again, you need to know your state's notary law as to what you need to verify identity. And then the third way that we prevent fraud is by verifying the person's willingness to sign. We are verifying to the best of our ability that nobody else is forcing them. No one is coercing them. Nobody is tricking them to sign the document. That whatever that document is, that person who appeared before you and showed you their ID, whatever it is that they are signing willingly. So prevent fraud, and we prevent fraud by doing those three things. I want to go a little bit deeper into verifying identity because I talked about it a little bit, but I want to go into it a little bit deeper because this is one of the main things that I see a lot of notaries getting wrong. So first, the signer needs to appear before you. You cannot verify the identity of somebody who does not appear before you. One of the things that I have had happen or that I've had people request is, like, for example, a husband will bring me a document that his wife has already signed. He signs it in front of me, and then he wants me to notarize his signature and his wife's signature. I can't do that. I can only notarize the signature of the person who appeared before me. If the wife does not appear before me, I cannot notarize her signature. So guys, do not do that. If that ever happens to you, if you ever get a request like that, where one person has signed a document, somebody else brings you that document and wants you to notarize it, you cannot notarize the signature of the person who did not appear before you. The signer needs to appear before you. And then the signer needs to provide identification that is acceptable for your state notary law that reasonably matches the name on the documents. I've had people try to give me ID, like let's say they move from another state and they try to give me ID that's acceptable in their state, but the ID is not acceptable here in Texas. And they get mad because they're like, well, I've had a document notarized with this ID before. I understand, but my state says I can't take it, even if your state was okay with it. So for example, in Texas, the ID has to have a photo, it has to have the person's signature, and it has to be federal or state issued, and it must be current. One of the IDs that I get all of the time that people try to use is the new military IDs that have the chip. Those IDs do not have a signature on them. Even though that is a valid military ID, since it does not have a signature, Texas law says I cannot use it. Do I think that's stupid? Absolutely. But it is my job to follow the law. I don't get to decide, whether I think it's a good law or not. I have to follow that law. And I know that in another state, that ID might be perfectly acceptable. But here in the state of Texas, if their ID does not have a signature, I cannot accept it. Now, if the signer does not have an identification card, then credible witnesses may be used. And guys, again, this is one of these areas where you are going to have to know and follow your state notary law for what is an acceptable credible witness, okay? And for those of you who don't know, a credible witness is another person who comes in and they say, I basically swear that this person is, Sue Smith or John Jones or whoever. Your state notary law may say that that person has certain requirements that have to be met. Your state notary law may say that only one credible witness is needed. Another state notary law may say that 2 credible witnesses are needed. I don't know. It depends on your state. So before you use a credible witness as identification, you need to know what your state notary law says. That's another area where people will get upset with me, where they will try to use credible witnesses that are not acceptable in my state. You have to know your state notary law to know if it is acceptable or not, guys. Okay, this is very serious. The next thing that I want to tell you guys, this will help you keep your notarizations flawless, is your record keeping. You should keep a record of every notarization that you do. And you do that by keeping a notary journal. Now, I will tell you, notary journals are not required in every state. Some states require that you keep a notary journal. Other states do not require that you keep a notary journal. However, I would suggest, unless your notary law says that you absolutely cannot keep one, I would suggest that you keep a notary journal. Guys, your notary journal protects you. I know it's a pain in the hiney to write all this information down, but it protects you, okay? So if you ever get called into court over a notarization that happened a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, again, I've been doing notarizations since 2007. If I get called into court over a notarization that I did in 2007, I promise you I am not going to remember it. But I have my notary journal that has information about that notarization. So some of the general items that you will keep in your notary journal is the date and time of the notarial act, the type of notarization, and we're going to talk about a couple of types of notarizations in just a second, but there are multiple types of notarizations. The date of the document. So sometimes the date of the document is different than the date that you are going to be notarizing the document. The type of document. What's the title of the document? The identification that was provided as proof of identity. Did they give you a driver's license? Did they give you a military ID card? Did you use a credible witness? How did you identify that person? You're going to have the document signer's printed name, and you should also have the document signer's address. So that is some of the general items that will be included in your notary journal. Now, some of the other things that you may or may not put in your journal, I'm going to go over. Now, this is again where you need to know your state notary law because your state may say it is not okay to have some of these things in your journal. Your state may say, we don't care if you get this or not. It doesn't matter either way. Your state may say you absolutely have to have this information in your journal. You need to know what those items are so that you can make sure that you absolutely get the things that you have to get and make sure that you absolutely do not record the things that you are not record. So your state may or may not require a signature. Here in the state of Texas, we're required to keep a journal, but guess what? The signer is not required to sign our journal, okay? ID numbers for their identification, so like their driver's license number. In the state of Texas, we cannot put down any ID numbers in our journal. Your state may require that you put it in your journal. Other states may not care either way. Fingerprints. In the state of Texas, it is recommended to actually not get a fingerprint because we can only keep biometric information for a short period of time. Again, your state may require a fingerprint. Some other things that your state may or may not require. They may or may not require that every document that you notarize be listed on an individual line. When I do loan signings, in that package, there may be 5, 6, 10 different items that I notarize. So one of the questions people always ask is, well, can I just kind of lump them all together in one entry? Or does the person have to do an individual line for each entry? It depends on your state notary law, okay? You need to know what your state notary law says. Another thing I want to remind you guys about, just because you buy a journal that has space for a particular item, like a fingerprint or an ID number, just because your journal has a space for it, again, that does not mean that it is okay for you to collect that information. And the other thing I want to let you guys know is that you cannot refuse a notarization if the signer does not want to provide something that is not required by your state. So again, here in the state of Texas, I am not required to get a signature in my journal. So if I go to do a notarization and if I ask the person to sign my journal and they refuse, I still have to do the notarization. I cannot refuse to do the notarization because a signature is not required in my state for my journal. So you guys need to look up and see what your particular state says about your journal entries. Because again, you can get in trouble for wrong notarizations, and you can also get in trouble for wrong information in your notary journal. You want to make sure you're doing it correctly. But guys, you are going to want to keep a journal to protect yourself. Whew, all right. So now you guys know there are definite things that you need to check out in your state notary law to make sure that you are doing it right. So now we're going to talk about the actual parts of a notary certificate. When you notarize a document, there will always be a notary certificate. This is another thing that I see people getting wrong. We have to remember that the people who draw up these documents and ask for a notary to sign it, they don't necessarily know notary law, okay? So they may put what they think is a notary certificate on the document, but it may not be compliant, or it may not be compliant for your state. Another thing that I will see is documents that ask for a notary signature and stamp, but it has no notary certificate at all. Guys, you cannot sign and stamp a document without a notary certificate. That is not notarizing the document. And I want to say in pretty much every state, and again, check your state notary law, but I'm going to say in just about every state, just signing and stamping a document without a notary certificate is going to be against the law. It is going to be illegal. So every document that you notarize needs to have a notary certificate. If the document does not already have a certificate, you can ask the signer what type of certificate they want. And we're going to go over the types so that you can give them a description of the certificates to help them decide which one they want to use. But in a notary certificate, there are usually 4 parts, okay? The first part is the venue. The venue is where the notarization is taking place. When you notarize that document, the venue is where your feet are actually located at that moment. You're usually going to write in the state and the county, or if you are in a state that has parishes, you will list the state and the parish, but you need to have a venue where the notarization took place. The second part to a notary certificate is the body. That's going to be the biggest part of the certificate usually. This includes the main information about the notarial act. It normally includes the name of the signer and the date. It may also ask for information about how you identified the signer. what type of ID that you use. Texas driver's license is one of the main ones that I have to put in because I'm in the state of Texas. Texas driver's license is one. It may be the name of credible witnesses. If you use credible witnesses, you've got to put the name of the credible witnesses that you use. So it's going to ask for information about how you identified the signer. Guys, you need to make sure that the body of the notary certificate is filled out completely with no blanks. Never leave a blank in your notary certificate, because if you leave something blank, that leaves an opportunity for somebody to come in and write inaccurate information. Every blank in a notary certificate should be filled in. The third part, I was about to say fourth, the third part of a notary certificate is going to be your signature. So that's easy. You will always sign a notary certificate, and you should sign your name exactly as it appears on your notary commission. So if your notary commission has your full name, your signature should be your full name. If it has your first name, middle initial, last name, it should be first name, middle initial, last name when you sign. If it is just your first and last name, you should sign first and last name. However your name is on your notary commission is how you should sign a notary certificate. And then the fourth part, this is the easy one, is going to be your notary stamp. Now, not all states require a stamp. So you might live in a state where the notaries don't have a stamp. And if that's the case, then obviously you don't stamp it. But many states do require a notary stamp. So if your state requires a stamp, make sure that you stamp the notary certificate. The certificate is not complete without your stamp. So here is a visual of an actual notary certificate. And guys, the notary certificates that I'm using in these examples, these are Texas compliant notary certificates, because guess what? Your state notary law is going to tell you what a compliant notary certificate for your state looks like. But Texas is kind of middle of the road. We're kind of average. So most states, your certificates are going to look similar. I know there are some states like California that have very, very specific wording. Again, you need to look at your state notary law to find out exactly what a notary certificate needs in your state to be compliant. But here is a visual. So up at the top, we have the venue. This one says State of Texas, County of Bexar. I live in Bexar County. The majority of the notarizations that I do are completed in Bexar County. So probably 90% of the time when I fill out my venue, it is going to say State of Texas, County of Bexar. But I always pay attention because there's about 4 or 5 counties around us that I still do signings and notarizations in every now and again. So I always have to pay attention to where I'm completing the notarization, because I might be in the county of Comal. I might be in the county of Medina. I might be in the county of Kendall. I might be in the county of Atascosa. You always are going to put where your feet are at the time that you actually do the signing. That is the venue. Then we've got the body. And again, it's got information that has to be filled in. All of the information that the notary needed to fill in is in blue in this example. But you see, the body is the big chunk of the certificate. Then we've got the signature. This notary is John P. Doe. And then we've got his notary stamp. And as you see, on his notary stamp, it says John P. Doe. So that is how he signed John P. Doe. So that illustrates the 4 parts of a notary certificate. Now, there's lots of different notary certificates, okay? However, the 2 that you are going to run into most often are going to be Jurats and Acknowledgements. These are 2 different types of notary certificates. I've heard some people call every notary certificate an acknowledgement. That is not correct. There are Jurats and there are Acknowledgements, and they are different from one another. So let's talk about those differences. First, we're going to look at Jurats, okay? So, or jurat. I've had people tell me that I pronounce it wrong. Jurat, I think it's how it's actually pronounced. So I apologize. Jurat. The purpose of a jurat is for a signer to swear or affirm the truthfulness of the contents of a document to a notary or notarial officer. So basically, when a document has a jurat as the notary certificate, the signer is swearing that the information found in that document is true and correct. Easy way to tell if a certificate is a jurat is a jurat will usually contain the word sworn, because again, they are swearing to the truthfulness and correctness of the information in the document. So when the notary certificate is a jurat, the following steps are required. First, the signer must appear in person before you. So remember, you're always going to need that no matter what you're notarizing, no matter what type of notary certificate it is, the signer must appear in person before you. And they must sign the document in your presence. If somebody brings you a document that is already signed, even if they say that's my signature, but the notary certificate is a jurat, they have to sign it again, because for a jurat, the document must be signed in the presence of the notary public. That's you. Now, you should also positively identify the signer according to your state's notary law. And we talked about that earlier. So you need to see what type of identification cards are allowed according to your state. If you're using a credible witness, you need to find out what steps to follow to use a credible witness for them to be considered positive identification. The next step is to perform an oath. And this is something that I see skipped a lot by a lot of people, because again, folks are swearing that this information is correct. So you as the notary should administer a spoken oath or affirmation, and the signer must respond out loud, like nodding their head or something like that, going, that's not good enough. They must respond out loud. So what is an oath? Again, your state may have specific wording that you have to give the oath. But an oath is usually going to be something like, do you swear or affirm that the contents of this document are true and correct? So that person is going to raise their hand. They're going to listen to what you say, and then they have to say yes or no verbally. Now, not every state may require that the signer raise their hand, okay? However, it is strongly recommended for you to have the signer raise their hand to emphasize the seriousness of the oath or affirmation. It's kind of like those court shows, right? When people come up to stand to testify and they make them put their hand on the Bible and lift their hand. When you perform the oath, it is recommended that you have the person raise their hand in the same way. Now, another question that I get a lot, especially for loan signings, because again, loan signings contain multiple documents that have to be notarized. People go, well, do I have to have them give the oath for every jurat, or can I just do it one time at the beginning of the package? Guess what my answer is? It depends on your state notary law. Some states may be okay with just you giving one oath at the beginning of the signing. Some states may require that you do a separate oath for each jurat in the package. Some states don't specify. So then, guys, it is going to be up to you and your best judgment whether you just do one oath or whether you have them swear an oath every time you come to a jurat. All right, so here is a sample jurat. And again, this is one that is compliant for the state of Texas, but it still has the 4 parts. Up at the top, we've got the venue. Again, state of Texas, county of Bear. That is our venue. Then we've got the wording. It says, sworn to and subscribed before me. So let me back up. Again, I already know that this is a jurat because it has the word sworn, okay? So sworn to and described before me. And then there's going to be a blank. And people always ask, who is me? Well, guys, me is the notary public. Me is the notary who is notarizing the document. So in this instance, me is John P. Doe, Notary Public, State of Texas. So you might be Sally A. Smith, Notary Public, State of Florida. Okay. Whoever the notary is who me is. And then it says on the blank. That blank is going to be the date. Okay. So we are doing this notarization today. So it is on the 13th day of September, 2025. And then it says by. Who's doing the swearing? Well, that is the signer, Sally A. Signer. Okay. So that is the body of a jurat. And that is what goes in each of those blanks that you are going to see. So then, as the notary, you're going to sign it and stamp it. So we've got our 4 parts: venue, body, signature, and stamp. All right. So now, the second notary certificate that you are going to see a lot of is called an acknowledgement. Now, an acknowledgement is obviously different from a jurat. The purpose of an acknowledgement is for a signer whose identity has been verified to declare to a notary that they willingly signed a document. So how do I know if a notary certificate is an acknowledgement? Well, an acknowledgement certificate will usually contain the word acknowledged. It's really simple when you think about it, okay? So an acknowledgement also has steps that have to be followed. So the first step, again, is that the signer must physically appear before you. Again, guys, you are never going to notarize a document where the signer is not in front of you. Again, you are going to positively identify the signer according to your state notary law. Then, and this is something that's going to be different between an acknowledgement and a jurat. Usually with an acknowledgement, the signer can either sign the document before appearing before you or in your presence. So if somebody brings a document to you that needs to be notarized, it is an acknowledgement and they have already signed it. That is generally okay. The signer, however, must declare or acknowledge that they signed the document for its intended purpose. Now, another thing that you may have noticed in here is with an acknowledgement, there's no oath. They are not swearing that the contents of the document are true and correct. The only thing that they're saying with an acknowledgement is that, yes, they signed it, and yes, they signed it willingly. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of acknowledgements. And here in Texas, we have a few different versions of the acknowledgement, but again, they're all still acknowledgements. So this one is called a long form acknowledgement. And again, guys, everything that is in blue is spaces that the notary had to fill out. So again, at the top, we've got our venue, state of Texas, county of Bexar. Then we've got the body, and it says before me. And remember, me is the notary public. So before me, John P. Doe, Notary Public, State of Texas, on this day, personally appeared, and then there's a blank. So who appeared before you? It was the signer. So you're going to put Sally A. Signer or whoever the signer was. So on this day, personally appeared Sally A. Signer, known to me or proved to me on the oath of, and then there's a blank. So that blank is in case you are using a credible witness as their identification. So if you are using a credible witness as their identification, you would put the name or names of the credible witnesses in that spot. If you're not using a credible witness as their identification, then you don't want to leave that spot blank. Remember, we don't want to leave blanks in a notary certificate. So you can put NA, which means not applicable, in that spot if you are not using a credible witness. So known to me or proved to me on the oath of NA, because we're not using a credible witness, or through blank. So if you're using an identification card, which is what you're going to use on the majority of your notarizations, you put the type of identification card that you saw. So again, the one that I see the most is a Texas driver's license. So you can abbreviate that, TXDL. If you are in Florida, it could be FLDL, Florida driver's license. If you are in California and they're using a California ID card, you would put CAID. If they are using a US passport, you would put USPASS. You can shorten it, but you need to put the type of identification card that they've shown you. So, to be the person whose name is subscribed to the foregoing instrument and acknowledged, again, we know this is an acknowledgement because it uses the word acknowledged, and acknowledged to me that they executed the same for the purposes and consideration therein expressed. Given under my hand and seal of office, this, and it's going to be the date, because you're always going to put a date in the notary certificate. So again, this 13th day of September, 2025. And then how do we end it? You're always going to sign it and stamp it. So that's a Texas long form acknowledgement, but we also have a different type of acknowledgement. It's a short form acknowledgement. So you see, it's a lot shorter, but again, we still have the 4 parts. We've got the venue, state of Texas, county of Bexar. And then the body says, this instrument was acknowledged before me. We know this is an acknowledgement because it says acknowledged. This instrument was acknowledged before me, and me is always the notary, John P. Doe, Notary Public, State of Texas, on the blank. And that blank is going to be the date on the 13th day of September, 2025 by, and then there's going to be another blank, and by is always the signer. So in this instance, it is Sally A. Signer. So this instrument was acknowledged before me, John P. Doe, Notary Public, State of Texas, on the 13th day of September, 2025 by Sally A. Signer. Then you sign it and you stamp it. So guys, those are the main 2 types of certificates that you are going to see. There are other types of certificates on your state's notary website. It will give you samples of compliant certificates for your states, but jurats and acknowledgements are the ones that you are going to see the most. And again, I want you guys to remember to always fill in all of the blanks in a notary certificate. If a blank does not apply, you can put NA for not applicable, but you're almost always going to have to fill in the venue, your notary information, the signer's name, how you identified them, and the date of the notarial act. Oh, and that's another thing. Just like in the venue, we put where we are actually standing when we do the notarization for the date. The date of the notarization must always be the actual day. You cannot predate or post date. You cannot put a date in the future, and you cannot put a date that has already passed. It must always be the actual date that you are notarizing the documents. This is just a short form, the jurat, again, showing you that all of the blanks must be filled in. And again, you're going to fill in venue, notary information, date, signer information, your signature on every single notary certificate. Woo, that was a lot of information, but I got it in and I got it in about my hour time frame. You guys know I try to keep this at around an hour, but guys, if you are an aspiring notary public, an aspiring signing agent, a new notary public, a new or an aspiring notary public, save this video, bookmark this video, rewatch this video as many times as you need, because guys, this is the biggest part of our job. Again, I don't care if you're a signing agent, if you do general notary work, if you're doing online notary work, if you're helping to facilitate apostilles, I don't care. The biggest thing that you have to do as a notary public is know how to follow your state notary law, what's important in your state notary law, and how to properly complete these certificates, okay? This is our job. We have to do it correctly. But if any of you are looking to be a signing agent and you need some help getting some good signing agent training, I implore you to check out my signing agent advanced training program. I've had people be like, wow, that was a lot of information just on how to fill out a notary certificate. I can't imagine how much more information there is to know when it comes to doing loan signings. And guys, there is a ton of information, but I teach you exactly what you need to know to be successful completing loan signings from the beginning. I teach you how to complete notary certificates. I teach you how to get all of the documents signed properly. I give you sample documents. I give you mock closing videos. That's one of the things people always want to see. I want to see a closing. I want to see a closing. Well, you can't sit in on a closing because there's people's personal information. But what you can do is watch my mock closing videos. It is the next best thing. It is just like being at a signing. And then, guys, with my Signing Agent Advanced Training Program, you get a mentor. That's me that you can count on and reach out to for assistance. So, guys, now we are in the question and answer part of the video. If you've got questions about notary certificates, what our function is as a notary, any of the stuff that I said in this video, or if you've got questions about signing agent stuff, now is the time. And again, guys, whether you are watching live or you are watching on the replay, please feel free to put your questions in. I always do my best to go back and answer any questions that I may have missed. So let's see. Travis has a question here. What's the best ways to build your confidence if you live in an area with zero in-person training or testing? So look, here is where the rubber meets the road, Travis. Okay. I know we would all love to have, just somebody holding our hand and walking us through things in person. But this is building a business. All of the information that you need to be successful, you can get through online training like my Signing Agent Advanced Training Program. But there comes a time where you just got to go out and do it. And I tell people all the time, you're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel scared if you're willing to even admit that to yourself. The only way, and I don't care if you have in-person training or online training, when it comes time for you to do your first notarization, when it comes time for you to do your first signing, you're going to feel nervous. You're not going to feel 100%. You just have to go out and do it. But the biggest way to build your confidence is through training, is through knowing what to expect, is through looking at sample documents. It's through watching mock closing videos. It's through having somebody that you can reach out to answer questions. My students will tell you if they send me an email, if I'm awake, they're going to almost instantly get a response back to the question that they have for me. There's even been times I've been asleep and the alert from my phone has woken me up and I've rolled over in my sleep to answer the question that they have. So training and practice and knowing that you have somebody to reach out to are the biggest ways to build your confidence. But at the end of the day, you're still going to feel some fear and you just gotta do it scared. And one of the things I also tell people all the time is, and anybody who is a veteran signing agent, please chime in. After you do your first one, you realize it's not that scary. After you do your first one, you realize it's not that hard. Veterans, tell me down in the comment or in the chat. Were you afraid before your first signing? And then after you did your first signing, did you realize, oh, there was nothing for me to even be afraid of at all? Veterans, go down in the comments and help these newbies out. All right, so Dear Abby says, are my signers required to raise their hand in a RON session if it is a requirement to do so in person in my state? So again, read and follow your state notary law. But in general, yes, pretty much everything that you would do in person, you are going to do in a RON session. The only difference is they're just not physically in front of you, but you still see them. They are still in the video. So you still need to tell them if it is a jurat, if they have to swear the oath, you still need to tell them to raise their hand and you need to see them raise their hand. And again, when they answer, it needs to be a verbal answer. It's not good enough for them to nod their head. They need to clearly say yes. Is not a good enough answer. They need to clearly say yes. So even in a RON session, that is needed. So here's another question. Do jurats hold more weight than acknowledgements? For example, if the transaction sent the notary client to court, just curious. So do you mean like more weight? Like, do we get in more trouble if we did a jurat incorrectly than an acknowledgement? I'm going to say in that instance, no. A notary certificate is a notary certificate, okay? It doesn't matter which one you did wrong. In court, it's the same weight. Now, the creator of the document, because either the creator of the document or the signer of the document are the ones who decide which certificate they want. They can say, I want a jurat. They can say, I want an acknowledgement. They can say they want both. So you may see a jurat and an acknowledgement both on one document because, again, they mean different things. It may hold more weight to the creator of the document or the signer of the document. But as far as notary law is concerned, and as far as our responsibility is concerned, I don't believe that one holds more weight than the other. We need to make sure that we are getting both of them correctly. All right, so Amelia wants to know, where's the information for my loan signing training? Guess where it's at? It is down in the description box of the YouTube video. So again, underneath the video, underneath the title of the video, you're going to click the word more a couple of times. It's going to open up the description box. There's lots of links in there, but there is a link for my website where you can get more information about my training and sign up if you want to join us. Let's see. Myra wants to know, when I sign as a notary signing agent, do I sign notary public or notary agent? So if you are notarizing a document, you are the notary public. Okay. So if there's a notary certificate, if you're filling out with the 4 parts, venue, body, signature, stamp, you are the notary public. Now, as a signing agent, there may be a few documents that they want us to fill out that we do not notarize. So one of those is like a customer identification form or a Patriot Act notice, where we list the information about the signer's ID, and they will want you to sign it and put your title. On that one, you are not notarizing it. So if you are not notarizing it, you are not acting as a notary public, you are acting as a signing agent. So on any document that I sign that is not being notarized, my title is signing agent. On any document that I am notarizing, then my title is notary public. Hope that helps. Let me know. Let me know if you still got questions about that. Let's see. What is the best way to network with other notaries or signing agent when it seems like many are on guard and see you as competition instead? There is no one best way. I tell people all the time, the best way is the way that works best for you. Okay. Everybody's personalities are different. I'm really old school. Again, I've been doing this since 2007. I was actually in the mortgage industry before that, starting at about 1999. So I'm very big on in-person, talking to people. You know, I run into other signing agents at FedEx all the time as I'm dropping off packages. And if I see somebody holding a package that looks like it's a signing agent package, I just walk over and talk to them. You know, I start a conversation, but not everybody's personality is like that. So I always tell people the best way to network with other signing agents is the way that works best for you. Keep your eyes open while you're out at FedEx. Look for people who look like they're signing agents. Start a conversation with them. There are tons and tons and tons of Facebook groups for notaries, public, and signing agents. Join those groups. Reach out to some of those people in those groups who happen to be in your area or that you're willing to network with long distance. But basically, you've got to build a relationship with them because, just because you're a signing agent doesn't mean that they should trust you, okay? They are going to have their guard up, and that's okay. That's perfectly reasonable because this is still a business, and they don't want you to try to come in and take any of their business. But the best way is the way that works best for you. So figure out what your personality is, figure out what you are most comfortable with, and focus on that, and you are going to get the best results. All right, let's see another question. You guys got lots of questions today. I like it. Travis said, if somebody signs the jurat certificate outside of your presence, How do they sign it again? Should it be right beneath the original signature? Should the original be whited out? Okay, so first of all, you are never going to use whiteout on a document. No whiteout, no correction tape, none of that. If a document has whiteout or correction tape on it, you really should not notarize it, because people looking at the document can't tell whether the whiteout was used before or after the notarization. So documents should never contain whiteout or correction tape. They can sign, really depends on where there's room, right? I personally like things like next to the signature, okay? So I would have them do it next to the other signature. Or even better, just reprint that document. Get another copy of that document blank and have them just put that one signature on it. But if they bring it to you and they've already signed it, I would have them sign next to their original signature before I notarize it, because yes, jurats must be signed in your presence. Let's see. Jackie, to my question that I answered before, she said she wasn't afraid on her first signing, but she was a little nervous. Again, perfectly reasonable. But again, piece of cake after that. Guys, I'm telling you, you are more afraid of doing a signing than is needed. I promise you. After you do your first one, you are going to realize that it is not that serious. Let's see. Do I think NNA certification is necessary in order to get work? No, it is not necessary. There is no legal requirement for you to be an NNA certified signing agent. However, keep in mind that there are some companies that will only send you business if you are an NNA certified signing agent. So it is not necessary. It is not a legal requirement by any means in any state. But there are some companies that will only send you business if you are NNA certified. Let's see. Dear Abby said after her first signing, again, she was a little nervous, but realized that practice makes perfect. Guys, I am telling you, each and every one of you that is watching this video is more than capable of doing signings correctly. All right, let's see. You already answered that one. Awesome. And I got some people connecting down in the comments. Let's see. Am I open for consultations? What I will do is I do have a link, and I don't have it in my description box yet, but give me about 5 minutes. I'll put it in the description box. I do have a link where if anyone wants to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me, you can. It's through Calendly. It'll walk you through the steps. It'll show you my availability, and you can schedule. So by the time this is over, I'll already have that link down in the description box. All right. And then Jackie says, can you cross a line through the first signature and sign again next to it? Again, I would take a look at your state notary law, because I don't know if there's necessarily one particular right way to do it. If your state does not specify, then yes, it should be okay to draw a line through it. I would actually have them draw a line through it initial, and then re-sign it. But first step to any question on what you can do on a notarization and a notary certificate is to look at your state notary law. Every state may, have their particulars on what to do in a particular situation. And again, you look at the law for yourself. Don't be asking other people, because sometimes folks just do what they want to do, or they do what they think makes sense to them, but they haven't actually looked at the notary law. So you want to make sure that you stay compliant with your state notary law, because it's your commission that's at stake if you do something wrong. So always, 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 guys, check out your state notary law. All right. Well, I think I got all of the live stream questions. But again, if you guys think of other questions after the live stream is over, come on back to this video, put it in the comments, come to the YouTube video, put it in the comments, and I will answer those questions for you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. As always, it was a blast. Make sure that you watch all of my other videos, all of my previous live stream videos. Check out my description box for all of the links, for all of the goodies that I have for you. And I'm going to see you guys next month for our next live stream. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that each and every one of you has a productive and profitable day. Bye, guys.